Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for logging on with us. This is just our second of our newly launched Lunch and Learn forums. So certainly want to thank our Alumni Association staff for setting this up, and I'm thrilled to be able to host just the second one of these, and hopefully what will be a regular series. Just want to go over the rules of the road here real quick. As you can see up there on the screen, everyone should be on mute by default. I don't expect that we're going to ask anybody to speak, but if the conversation goes that way, we do have the ability to unmute your microphone. We had a number of questions already submitted in advance, but if something comes up and you want to send me a chat privately, you can use the chat feature to send in a question and comment if you like. And just to let everyone know that this forum is being recorded, and we'll get you a link as soon as possible after we're all done here this afternoon. And lastly, just sort of the technical thing, as you can see there on the window, we have some slides to go along with our forum today. And but if you just size up your window, if you haven't done so already, to the top right of the screen, you should be all set. The format, certainly we're going to welcome our new head football coach here in just a minute. We have a number of alumni and friends on the line with us here. So we're going to try to get to know Coach Grant a little bit better. And also, this is I believe it's his second interview. Did one with In the Huddle back at the end of March. So we want to make sure and try to cover some different ground than what Coach Grant talked about in that first interview back at the end of March. And then, of course, we'll talk a little football. And we had a number of people who submitted questions in advance. So we'll try to answer as many of those as possible at the end. So with that, let's jump into it. And Coach Grant, thank you for joining us and welcome here today on this otherwise gorgeous day.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, I know from your first interview that you had at least a little bit of a relationship with Coach George before you came here. But when you got that call from Coach George over 20 years ago and came here to the Academy, what was it that really drew you to the United States Coast Guard Academy?
Well, be honest with you, I was kind of surprised that I actually got the call. You know, Bill was at Ithaca and I was coaching at Cortland at the time. And when he called me, I was actually downstate New York working a football camp over the summer. And it just happened to be a member of the Ithaca staff there when they called, director of the camp said, "Hey, you got a message from Bill George." And at the time, I had no idea that he had even taken a job at the Coast Guard. So I'm like, the offensive line coach at Ithaca, why the heck's he calling me? But come to find out, he had a job opening. He wanted me to check it out. So I did so. Actually, I went right from the camp. I went down to Long Island for the weekend, and somehow I took the ferry across and came and checked it out. And I didn't know at the time that he had already hired Ray before to come with him. And believe it or not, me and Ray had actually played golf twice earlier that summer together. And so it was kind of a coincidence. I came down, looked at the school, loved it right away. I saw it as an opportunity. I was still working like 2 full-time jobs at the time. Besides the coaching, I was working another side job. And I just thought maybe this would be a good time to leave. And knowing what I was getting myself into, again, you know, when you get a chance to work in the academy, it's one thing you got to think really hard about. And I did that. And sure enough, it's worked out for me.
Oh, fantastic. Now, so being here over 2 decades, how have you seen Coast Guard Academy athletics and football specifically? How has the program evolved in the past 20 years?
Well, the athletic department itself has expanded. You know, you talk about adding programs that we have now. We've added a lot more people to the program to work for us. The actual football program itself, when we took over, was in a rough way. I think Bill was like the 4th head coach in like 5 years. So we came in. I know we had grand plans and we worked real hard. We didn't have a lot of success early on, But probably the biggest thing is the type of kid that we've gotten has changed, has stayed the same. We've gotten better athletes. We've been able to compete at a high level with the teams that we've been able to put on the field. The size of our team has decreased, but also that goes with how the academy itself has changed. But I think when we first got here, we may have only been maybe 20% women, and now we're up close somewhere between 35 and 40%. So that's good. That takes a big toll when you look at the overall structure of the academy itself. The football program, I think, has grown. I think the reputation of it has grown. I think the stability that us being here as a group for so long has really helped out. So like I said, when Bill took over, he was the fourth head coach in like 5 years. And then to bring in, to hire Bill, Bill brought in Ray, he brought in myself, and eventually, he hired Dana Fleischman. And for us to be here together as a group, along with other people like Jay Driscoll was already here, and Jay's still coaching with us. Pat Knowles is already here. He's still coaching with us. So we've had the same group of coaches in place for a long time, and I think that stability has really paid off.
Fantastic. Now, in that time, do you have one particular memory that sticks out? I got a recent photo up here. I'm not trying to persuade you or anything, but what might be one real favorable memory in that time that you've been here?
That was actually a very good day right there, going down and beating Merchant Marine at their own place. There's been some great ones. I think back to 2006, 2007, when we won the Bogan Division back-to-back. We had a lot of good games. I remember, we beat the Maine Maritime 3-0 in a driving rainstorm, which was, they were the worst team in the league at the time. I forget who the best team was in the league, and we won that game 3-0 also. I think about Salve when Brian Robinson blocks 2 kicks. We block a kick, block a punt with less than 2 minutes to go in the game. We drive the ball down and kick a field goal to win that game. But probably the two that stick out was maybe, believe it or not, our first 2 years here. We play 1 year, we play Springfield at home on Parents' Weekend. There's no way we should win that game. We win the game. I want to say that following year we play RPI, and both of these teams are ranked in the top 10 in the East. We play RPI for Parents' Weekend again, and we win that game. And those were the only 2 games we won in our first 2 years. So those 2 games kind of stick out, especially the first one because it was Bill's first win.
Sure, awesome. And what inspires you? I mean, you've been coaching a number of years. Where do you draw your inspiration from?
Probably first and foremost, my parents. Both of my parents are hardworking people. My dad worked at Kodak for like 30 plus years, and he always had a side job. He always had the normal job at Kodak, and he would always, to support the family, he would always have a side job. And even when he retired, he went and got another job. So even to this day, he still works in real estate. So my inspiration, first of all, is probably my parents, my wife. You can't be close to someone who has cancer and beats it, and you see it firsthand, and you're not inspired by it. The way she went through it, she didn't miss any days at work, going through the chemo, through the radiation. That alone, you watch that, you're inspired by that, and also by like the kids that you coach is unbelievable because after 20 years, you kind of know what they're going through, what type of days they have, the long days, long nights, for them to come down and be able to give you everything they got on the field. As a coach, that makes you proud, and it definitely inspires you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Want to talk a little bit about transition, and obviously you're not just going from being the defensive coordinator to the head coach, but you also had to leave being the head coach of the baseball program to take this new position. Obviously, the season this year got cut short a little bit down in Florida. You guys were doing great. 4-1 last 5 games with a win over Merchant Marine, even down in Florida. But talk a little bit about the transition that you're going through, and perhaps maybe something that you might miss about being the head baseball coach.
Transition. I think you plan on working as hard as you did before. It's just now my focus is going to be more singular instead of being, there'll be times during football season where I'm putting game plans together, and I'm also putting together the trip to go to Florida for the spring break trip. There's times in the fall, in the spring when I'm doing football, and I'm still working on bringing in the baseball class. It never stops where you got two things going on, and you just have to have a well-structured plan on how you're going to go about it. The thing I miss most about it is the kids. I mean, there's kids on the team who I knew 6 years ago when I started recruiting them. Someone went to prep school for me, have played for me. Baseball is different because unlike football, where you know you're going to play on a Saturday no matter what the weather is, baseball is crazy, especially if you think about the spring we were having right now, where there's times where you might have a game and you get the game in, and then you may not play for another 4 days because the weather comes in and the field conditions, whatever. There was one time when we played, I want to say like 22 games in like 26 days of baseball, and it was just crazy. But I think it prepares you for baseball with just being able to adapt and adjust. And that's kind of like when you coach football, you have to do that within the game itself. I think I learned a lot from being a head coach for a baseball team. At the same time, being an assistant and Bill, I got to run a program my own way, got to shape it, got to recruit for it. And I plan on doing the same thing for football.
Excellent. Shifting gears here a little bit. Some people know very well that all the head coaches here at the Academy have some additional responsibilities as faculty and with some different programs. Can you talk a little bit about some of your other responsibilities that you maintain outside of coaching football?
Yeah, so the way it sets up is all the AD00 is not like just head coaches, but also the assistant coaches. If you have that tag of AD00, then you're also required to teach. So we all teach a set classes. We're all involved in giving the PFE, being involved in the physical fitness program. A lot of us have been on committees, whether it be hiring committees. If we're investigating, trying to do something different, we'll be on committees. You get involved in things up on campus, whether it be some type of say the kid gets in some type of academic distress, you may be on his goal team. So as a coach, you're involved in not just coaching here when you're at the Academy, but there's a lot of different facets that you're going to be involved in. And like I said, teaching, being involved in the physical fitness program, maybe you're in a remedial program, you're assisting in that, helping out in that, get the kids who may fall short of the PFE standards, trying to get them back into good condition. And even during swap summer, going through the obstacle courses and all the things we do, the ropes course, all those type of things, introducing them to the weight room and the workouts that we put together for them. So it's not just, hey, I'm on the field, I'm watching film, and we go coach football. There's a lot of that entails that, being a professional faculty at the Academy.
Sure, absolutely. All right, so let's talk a little bit about football. And what do you think right off the bat? What do you think your biggest challenge is going to be?
Right now, it's we didn't have any spring ball. We're home. The kids are home, and a lot of them don't have like weights in their own in the houses and stuff. So my main concern really is about what type of shape they're in. And I'm sure, I've been sending out emails weekly and stuff, and most of them are probably running and doing their best to stay in some type of physical conditioning. But you miss not having them here at the Academy where they're in a structured lifting conditioning program. So that's probably right now for 2020. That's if they come back in, what type of shape are they in?
Sure.
And some of them, it may prove that, hey, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Because a lot of them, when they get off boats and they come back here before we start football, some of them aren't in great shape then, and you kind of have to work to get them back to where they were at the end of the spring semester. But right now, I would say my biggest thing is number one, we missed spring ball, so a lot of the freshmen or the fourth class kids didn't get a chance to get caught up on the terminology and just knowing the systems that we run. And number two, just their physical shape, what type of condition they're going to be in.
Sure. And what about if looking long term and maybe it's kind of hard to do, but maybe say coronavirus notwithstanding, long term, what's your number one priority?
I think just roster size, getting the roster size to where I want it, and just being able to maintain it. we want to be, somewhere between 80 and 90 players and good players, and just be able to maintain that. If you look at just the NUMAC alone, the teams we're playing, I would like to at least be on par with those teams as far as number of bodies that we suit up on a Saturday afternoon.
Sure. All right, there's just within the last year, there's been a tremendous investment in the football program here at the academy. Obviously, brand new turf was installed on the field last summer. Got a brand new video scoreboard and a fantastic $250,000 gift from Roger Walther from the class of 1958 to fund a full-time assistant coaching position that is filled right now by Derek Abbott. Can you talk a little bit about either individually or collectively, what this sort of infrastructure support means to you personally and to the football program?
I think you start with the field. It was overdue. So it was nice that we had it, that the people stepped up to get it done, because it was needed at the point. I think the older one was like 15 years old. I think when we put the field in and then add a brand new scoreboard at the same time, it really makes the place pop. And the nice thing I think about besides just football, the other teams that benefit from that, our lacrosse teams who play on that really benefit from that and having a scoreboard and everything. And like I said, it's nice when you sit up there and you're watching a game. We probably have the most scenic home situation of any place that we ever go. With the water, you can see out there, look at the water, and then you look up, you got that nice, beautiful scoreboard there. It's a nice addition. The Roger Walther donation was huge. And number one, I think that when you look at a football staff and the way it's built, and again, you look at the teams who we're playing against in the NUMAC and how many full-time people they have, for him to step up like that. Number one, he's a super guy. I got a chance to meet him last year on the field when he came to the game. But just to add a quality person like Derek, because we got a football guy with a football mind. He loves the game. He's going to be a great coach. We were fortunate to get him because at the time it was kind of late in the summer when we did get him. It's huge. I can't say enough about having him around, and just, he's a young guy too, so he understands all this technology stuff, which is good. You need people like that. You got the older guys like myself. We're not quite familiar with all the stuff. So that to add a young guy, add a fresh mind into what we do, and he fit right in. He hit the ground. He hit the ground running. So all three of those things are huge. I think it's big too for recruiting when you can bring a recruit on campus and they can look at your field and look at your facility and say, wow, because whether you think it or not, they're comparing you, all right, to the Jimmys and the Joes and the Johns and everybody else who are around other places that they're going to visit. They're not only as an athlete, they're not only looking at the academic program, but they're also looking at the overall athletic program too. Absolutely.
Now, Cece, you mentioned a couple times the importance of overall conditioning your athletes. I know when you were in the huddle interview, you talked a little bit about strength and conditioning. So one thing, obviously, that we're real excited about here in the Alumni Association on campus is this project we've talked about for a number of years, but that the Emlyn Tunnell Cadet Strength and Conditioning Center is finally under construction, and they've started all the demolition work and the racquetball courts. And right now, the plan is for this facility to be opened up in the fall. And the facility itself is going to be for the entire Corps cadets. But when you think about football, the roster size, and just the specific nature of the sport, obviously, strength and conditioning is going to have a huge part of football. So talk a little bit more about, what your hope is for this facility, how you guys are going to use it, and what you're looking forward to.
Again, if you look at just facilities, you bring a recruit on campus, you'll be able to go down and show him, hey, here's a weight room that we use. And I'll take this moment to give a huge shout out to Coach Shakira, who does a great job with the entire athletic program. But the way she has to move and shuffle around the times, a weight room of this size, you're gonna be able to get the whole team in there and moving at one at the same time. Because right now they have to split team. They have to split the team in half, and part will come at one time, and the other half of the team will come at the other time. But to be able to fit the entire team in there and get them in and out in an hour or whatever time she has set set aside is going to be awesome. And, again, not only the football team is going to be able to use this, but all the athletic teams and the rest of the cadets. So I think it's going to be a huge draw. It's unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable once it's done. And again, you add the field, scoreboard, the setting, and you take a kid or recruit down and show him weight room, along with the world-class education he's getting. It's a no-brainer if you ask me.
Sure. All right, let's talk a little bit about your staff. Obviously, most recently, you and Coach Dana Fleischman shared the defensive coordinator position. But talk a little bit about how that position is going to be covered, and perhaps give a quick overview of your expected staff entirely for this season ahead.
As far as defense goes, nothing really going to change. I mean, the way me and Dana always worked it was we would sit down. Me, Dana, and Jay Driscoll would sit down. We would break down the film. We would basically make the game plan, and we would go about it. Hey, here's what we got. Dana would then take it. He would do the play calling on Saturday. When me and him first did this, I always told myself, hey, if you're going to be the play caller, I'm not going to be in your ear bugging you about what to call on Saturday. But then on Saturday, what we would do is we would make adjustments together. At halftimes, we'd make a halftime adjustment. We'd make suggestions, and we would go from there. I foresee that relationship staying the same. I will have to probably familiarize myself a little bit more with the offense. Coach LaForce going to run the offense. Again, I'm going to try to keep the same staff in place, keep the continuity. These guys have done a great job over the last 20 years. I don't foresee anything changing as far as that goes.
Excellent. One other question I had before we get to our participant questions is looking at your schedule. Is there a specific team or school that's not on your schedule that Coast Guard has not played that at some point in the future you'd like to see added to your schedule?
No, not at this point in time. I mean, okay. I think I like the way the NUMAC is constructed. Very competitive football. I think last year it was crazy the number of overtime games that we've had in 1 year. So I like the schedule as it is. And moving forward, we'll have to take a look and see where things go, because there's always some non-league games on there that you may want to change here and there. So, but I can't foresee right now is there somebody out there who we don't play, who we absolutely said, hey, we need to get them on our schedule.
All right. We got about 10 minutes left. We've had a few other folks join us on as attendees. My name is Truson Tarnelli. I'm the Director of Athletics Development here at the United States Coast Guard Academy Alumni Association. And of course, we're chatting a little bit with our new head football coach, CC Grant. And so we had a number of folks submit some questions ahead of time. We're going to try to hit some of those right now. So getting off the bat, how do your QB prospects look?
Not bad. You know what? I look at the guys, first of all, that we have on our roster. And with RJ graduating, John Barbera, who's going to be a first class, he's going to probably be, right now coming to camp, he's the starter. We got a couple of younger guys, Tafari Wall and Ryan Barlow, who are going to compete for some time. Coming in, freshman-wise, we have a kid, Kyle Davidson, who's a pretty good player. And we got another kid. We're not sure if he's going to be a quarterback or a defensive back type guy from Texas by the name of Logan Morris. So in the quarterback room right now, you're looking at, from day one, you look at maybe 5 kids in there. But I would say this, John is he's the one who's been around the longest. He's a great leader, is an unbelievable young man. So we look at great things from him. And again, a lot of times, you got a guy in his position who's been here the longest. You would hope that all the reps and the practice reps that he's had, at some point they start to pay off for you. So I'm hoping that it's this year. Sure.
All right. What style of offense will you run? What style of defense will you play?
I'm not looking to change anything. We're a spread offense. And part of I like about the spread, what you're able to do is you're able to adapt it to what you do best. And for us, we got some pretty good skill guys. You may see a little bit more 2 backs in the backfield, just based on who we have. But we're going to be a spread for the foreseeable future. Defensively, we're going to stay the same. We've been more of a four-man front. Typically, because we don't get a lot of big guys, we have to do a lot of movement, and we give our defensive ends the option sometimes to be in a 2-point stance versus a 3-point stance, depending on who we're playing. And we got a good group of guys coming back there too, who I think is going to give us a chance defensively to be pretty good.
Excellent. All right. What changes can we expect to see that will produce a more balanced, consistent offense? Will we see more emphasis on the running game?
Well, I don't know. I like my guys outside. You got a kid like Justin Moffitt, Damaso Jamie, and even we had a freshman kid last year that we really liked in special teams that could run with Jared Coletti. Anytime you take the ball out of their hands, you better be putting it in somebody's hands that are pretty good, because those guys are pretty good.
Yeah.
When you got two receivers like these guys, and if you go back to the last game of last year, we played against Merch Marine. Moss had a kind of a tender hamstring, so they kind of saved him to the second half, and what a difference it made. You might have the two best receivers in the entire league. So to say that I'm going to put more of an emphasis on running the ball would mean taking the ball out of their hands. I think maybe we may do some things different in the run game that may help us, maybe do some pulling and that type of stuff. We'll have to wait and see. But to say I'm going to put more emphasis, I think you just have to be able to run the ball efficient enough and find out the best efficient way for you to do it. And I go back to maybe the Catholic game last year that's in overtime, and all of a sudden we're running the ball and we score. John Wagner scores from like a 20-yard out to win it, 20 yards out to win the game for us.
Yep.
So I think you have to be able to run the ball at certain times and be effective when you do it. It doesn't mean that you also, we're going to become a 70-30 run the pass team. I just don't see that happening with the kids that we have.
Okay. What is the size of the expected starting defensive line? Height and weight.
Oh boy. I'm going to guess probably 6 foot, 6'1", and probably anywhere between 230 and 240.
How does that compare in the rest of the NUMAC?
Oh, geez, we're a lot smaller. We're a lot smaller, but here's what I'll tell you. There was no more position that got banged up last year than our defensive line. Out of our starting defensive linemen, including your captain, RJ, none of those guys finished the season. You're out of your top 4 guys. I don't think you had one finish the season. Yeah. So if as opposed to the year before when we stayed healthy and we were 7-3. So we're never going to be as big as the guys we're going against. Right. But what we lack in size, we make up in quickness, and we're extremely tough. So I think I don't really necessarily worry about that we're too small. I think that's a pretty good size for us because it allows those guys also to run. I've seen like our defensive linemen, and they play 50 snaps or so, and they're not tired, and they're constantly just moving. And sure. Coach Driscoll does an unbelievable job getting those guys ready to play. It's nuts how good a job he does with those guys, and how good we become with the guys that we do have.
Yeah. All right, next up. Coach, you've been coaching in a distinct CGA environment for 2 decades. Given the restrictions placed on you for recruiting, what are the attributes you seek in recruits or applicants?
I would say most of the kids that we're recruiting, number one, you want to see good athletes, all right? Good, and I'm assuming that every kid that's looking at us, that's applying for us at an academy, knows what he's getting himself into. Like, this is not the normal place to go to school, and how tough, how rigorous it is. But generally, you're looking for good athletes, and you're looking for kids who are going to be tough-minded and physically tough. Again, if you go back to the question you asked me before about the height and weight stuff, yeah. We're generally smaller, not as big as teams, but we've gotten by just being really, really, really tough, tough-minded, physically tough, being able, no matter who you put against us, our kids are going to go out and just grind, and we're going to try to find a way to win the game. We're certainly competing. The idea is to be disciplined and try to find a way to win. So, as I look at our teams over the past 20 years, we've always been and always have put tough physically hard-nosed kids on the field, and I don't see any way to stop doing that.
Sure. Coach, please settle this age-old dispute. Who is a better wide receiver, Mike Wolfe or Keith Thomas?
I think that might be the toughest question that I've been asked today. Both of these guys were unbelievable to coach, and I know they're doing great things for the Coast Guard. Who is the best? Oof. I think maybe you could toss a coin. Here's a story about Wolfe. I remember a game we're playing. As a matter of fact, it was maybe the RPI game that we won when RPI won one of the 2 games I mentioned in our first 2 years. And Wolfe makes this unbelievable catch from Corey Anderson, over his shoulder, falling backwards, catches the ball. And he didn't make a lot of those, but he made it that day. And he was so excited. It was like a 50-yard play. He got up and spiked the ball in the middle of the field and got a 15-yard penalty. So both of them ended up being great kids. I enjoyed coaching them both. Who was better? I'd probably toss a coin.
There you go. Good answer. Good answer. As former CGA players, what can we do to help the coaching staff in national recruiting efforts, especially as travel remains a challenge due to COVID-19?
Doug, I think the big thing is it would be for us as coaches to know probably the area of the country that you're in, whether it be to say, hey, here's a kid who was in the similar situation as you. Here's a number, can you reach out to him? Sure. Here's a kid who's thinking about Army, Air Force, Navy, and the Coast Guard is looking at flying. Hey, you're a pilot. Is there a way we can get this kid up in the air, kind of see what you guys do? So those are the type of things I think it's got to come from us as coaches, though, to reach out to people like Doug who are interested in helping out, to help bring kids in, to let them know the choices that the Coast Guard has once they get into the fleet. I think a lot of kids think about the school itself, what they want to major in, that type of deal. But there's a few who have thought beyond that, saying, hey, my career path, I want to be maybe this or maybe that, maybe this. And I think it's in those situations that we can use people like Doug and reach out and try to get a little bit more information for them.
Sure. All right. Thanks. Well, we're a couple minutes over, but this was great. I really enjoyed this. Any closing thoughts from you, CC?
No, I just I want to say thank you to you and the Alumni Association for the opportunity. I know it's not it's a little tough right now being kind of locked up and being confined to our situations, but you guys keep doing what you're doing. It has given us a chance to a lot of this online recruiting stuff that we did to probably get ahead of where we would be at this point in time, being home. And because I've been home this much in the spring in 20 years. And I think my wife and kids are ready to kick me out and say, go coach baseball again. But
there you go.
No, it's been, you try to use your time the best you can to stay abreast of things. Like I said, I've been in contact with the guys at least once a week, and they all seem to be doing good. I just want to say thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. This is great. Thank you to you. And so I love this picture. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people behind you. Hopefully we'll have a great fall season. And everyone's going to be rooting for you and the Bears. So thank you very much. And thank you to everyone that logged in and the Alumni Association staff that helped hold this together. And just look for information on the next Lunch and Learn forum coming up in the near future. Thanks so much, and go Bears.
Thank you.